This kitchen is going through a major rehab. Andy, vents in it. Shit, that's not what we want. See which way it goes, and we can unplug the pot. Broke that free. This peninsula here that curves out and around, we got to get rid of it. And the granite countertops are going with it. So I'm trying to remove these countertops, but instead of sticking a tool down here and possibly ruining the cabinet, I simply stick a 2x4 under that lip with a jack and I give her. Create a void enough to cut the silicone. Do you know how expensive it is to rent a construction dumpster like this? So this is a 10-yard dumpster. We have about 3,000 square feet of flooring going in there. That's carpet, pad, and also laminate flooring. Tons of laminate flooring. To keep all of our neighbors happy, we put all of our trash in the garage first, and then when we're ready for it, we have the dumpster come in, we fill it in a couple hours, and get it out. This 10-yard dumpster cost me $335. Is that more or less than you expect? Now that we have this kitchen just about fully demoed, it's time to remove the floor in order to make room for the new flooring. Originally, when this house was built, it was built with vinyl flooring throughout the kitchen. And when you put down vinyl flooring, you start first by putting down a subfloor that is a 1/4 inch thick. So that and the vinyl flooring is what I'm removing now, so we can have 100% smooth surface throughout the kitchen and the living room. But it's not an easy task. Thankfully, it's not glued down, but it is stapled about every 1.5 inches. If you can get a shovel, a scraper, or even a pitchfork underneath this floor, it'll pop up in one full sheet, but it's not easy to get it around those staples. For example, here's one seam. Look at how many staples they used. I'm pretty curious to see how many hours it's going to take Callan to remove all those. Oh yeah, and it goes underneath the cabinets too. I'll have a couple videos this week showing you how we take care of that. I get the pleasure of plumbing in a pot filler for this kitchen today. I'll be honest, I have mixed opinions on having a pot filler. Is it honestly really needed, or is it just a huge waste of money? And when I say huge, I mean it. $500 faucet? Here's the backstory. My wife is our designer, and she's our real estate broker. And she's really good at what she does. So I do what I'm told. So, with my opinion set aside, I'm here doing what I'm told. Directly below this room is the furnace room, so I got pretty lucky. It's going to be easy enough to run water. The first thing I needed to do, though, is I needed to throw in a backer. That backer is what's going to hold our drop-ear plumbing fitting. And all that really means is it's a 90-degree threaded fitting. And it's actually the exact same thing that your shower head would attach to. And because it's not 1980 anymore, we're going to use PEX. PEX replaces copper for me all day, every day. There's no soldering required for this kind of plumbing. So that means I don't have to light a fire right next to all this wood. Instead, we're going to use this pliers and a crimp ring. Literally anyone can run plumbing now. It could take a 5-year-old to do it. In fact, Callan does run the crimp pliers for me. A little bit later, I'm going to tie it into the existing plumbing where we will have to cut some copper. But what are your opinions on a pot fill? Callan and I need to remove this subfloor because those pipes are no longer going to be there. The previous kitchen peninsula did a little curve there. Instead, we're going to have it go straight out. This job is invasive, but it's not terribly difficult. I took my skill saw and set it at 3/4 of an inch and cut a square around these pipes and where I need to move the pipes to. And this is where things stopped going well. Son of a... Yes, the water was shut off. Accidents happen. I didn't allow enough time for the whole house system to drain fully. I need to move this plumbing loop one channel over. And the reason that this drain system is a loop is because not only is this a drain, but it's also a vent. Normally your vent will go up to the ceiling and out the top, but that would look pretty tacky going out the center of your island. So we're going to put it back down through the floor and out through the wall. Now before we seal up the floor, we got to clean out these cavities of all the dust. Once we have the cabinet set on top of these pipes, then we'll replumb in the loop. And notice, in addition to the drain, we also had to move all the water supplies. And my boy Callan, he would not let one speck of dust still underneath that floor. And now the last step before cabinets could be installed, we got to knock down all of these staples. And yeah, he definitely has a paintbrush in his pocket. He's an amazing apprentice. Do you know how much it would cost to have an electrician come into your house and wire up some can lights for your kitchen? I know I'm not about to pay a couple $100s an hour to have an electrician come in and start cutting into my ceiling. I save a bunch of money on these projects by doing all the hard work and then calling the electrician to come in and just match the colors. So when I was downstairs, you could see that this room was the one above the kitchen. Got the tape measure out, did a couple guesstimates on where I needed to go, found the channel between these two floor joists, and I decided that's where I was going to start. I got the skill saw in the background, and that's what I'm going to use to cut this subfloor, but I got to remove the carpet tack strip.
It's kind of cute that way.
And now for all the parenting police, I sent the kids out of the room when I was going to do the sawing. Here, I'm setting the depth of the saw so I don't go into the floor joist. Cutting through staples, screws, and nails. Not ideal, but we got through it, and I was able to catch that moment. Now that I got the subfloor out of the way, that junction box is what I'm going to use to reference where I need to go downstairs. Now this box here only needs to move a little bit because we need it to be center on the island. This is going to be a pendant. I'm sticking a pilot hole through the drywall so I can confirm where it is upstairs. And another option I like to use is a hole saw into the subfloor. Patching this subfloor is so much easier and cheaper than trying to replace textured ceiling. The other option is having attic access. Anyway, I open up the floor, I drill through the floor joists as needed, and I can just make it so it's super easy for the Sparky to come in, match the colors. I put drywall in the holes where boxes are no longer needed, and now this area is ready for tape, mud, and texture. At the same time, I have my mud guy come take care of the fireplace. So we added 2 lights over the left island, 2 between the islands, and the 2 pendants. You won't believe the controversy behind a few of the decisions we made in this kitchen. No outlets on your walls, just a giant backsplash? Did you seriously install a microwave at your shins? Why on earth do you think you need 3 ovens in the one kitchen? Well, one of them is for me. It's got an air fry setting so we can do chicken nuggies and a pizza. And the other oven is for my wife, and she cooks proper food in that. I'm not allowed to touch that one. I love that when the oven is on, the lights underneath the knobs turn on too. It's so pretty, cool. And because the basement ceiling below this kitchen right here is open, I was able to throw in a pot filler super easy. Which of course that looks amazing too. And I didn't forget about charging our devices. I installed a USB-C outlet as well. Now I want to discuss the no outlets on the back wall. If we're going to install a backsplash like this, I'm not going to ruin it with a couple outlets. But of course that doesn't mean we're not going to have outlets at all. You can see that there's wires coming down. We're going to have LED light strips underneath, and we're also going to have a few outlet strips. It's going to be a super clean, elegant look. So this microwave that we installed down by our big toes, I have a little bit of a worry too. I think if we open that, I think Callan's going to use it as a step stool. If that does in fact happen, I'll be the first one to share it. Lastly, we're going to make sure we have good drinking water, and then this hole here is going to be the button to turn on the garbage disposal. And this kitchen faucet, I'm putting the finishing touches on this hoodly vent, and what I gotta do is I gotta wrap this all the way around so I don't have to try making these corners perfect up here with a nail gun trying to hold it up tight. Let me show you how we do that. Trying to put something as detailed as this above your head together is just not fun. So what's nice about this 2-part system, you can put it on the table, for example, and I can just do all of my assembly where I'm comfortable. That small bottle is like the gel or glue, if you will. Put that on one side, then do a small amount of the activator in the aerosol can on the other side, and push and hold together for 10 seconds. Hence the name, 2P, 2 parts, 10 seconds. Maybe give it just 1 minute so it's nice and secure, and then you can pick it up and manipulate it as you want, where you want it. And now I should mention as a disclaimer, this is not welded steel. Still treat this material as if you are a fine detailed carpenter. But what I've found from this stuff is it acts more of like a 3rd or 4th hand for you. It's nice because you don't have to worry about rushing through or shaking and it loosens up. This way, you'll always have a nice tight miter.